High concept, low budget. It's the path to success for a lot of horror movies that went on to make millions from a tiny budget. A lot of Blumhouse movies follow this model, and it works. What is high concept, and how do successful movies do low budget without putting off their audience? And how do we apply the rules of high concept, low budget to our own movie? Let's define what we mean by high concept and low concept. It's not an easily defined term, but you kind of know high concept when you see it. I found a few definitions online that are a little vague. One of the first hits you get is studio binder. A high concept film is a premise-driven film with a unique, compelling and attention-grabbing hook that sets it apart from similar films. Some other definitions talk about hypothetically pitching the movie. Can you summarize the movie in 5 seconds to a studio exec? Well, of course. Every movie has a logline. So here's the definition or test that works for me. Let's take the movie pitch test, but instead of someone pitching to a studio exec, imagine two friends talking about movies in a bar. What's the difference? The difference is people who aren't in the movie industry don't think in carefully crafted summaries. I think if you can imagine them being able to easily summarize a movie premise, it's probably high concept. For example, Sean is telling Ed he saw Hush last night. He says it's about a deaf woman who lives in the middle of nowhere and a serial killer tries to kill her, and Ed says he saw Longlegs. He says it's about an FBI agent who, well, I don't know, Nicolas Cage is in it, you have to see it. You get the difference? If you're making a movie with no-name actors in it, and you want more word of mouth, which is free advertising, maybe a movie like Hush would be better for you. Which brings us to our case study of success. Blumhouse. You've seen some of their movies, a lot of them are high concept. Now let's say you've written a high concept movie, how do you plan a low budget production? Blumhouse movies are mostly horror movies, and horror audiences are the most forgiving out there, as long as they get a good story and some good scares. You can cut out a lot of the things that horror audiences really won't miss. Here's how Blumhouse keeps costs down. 1. Minimal locations, ideally 1 or 2, and don't waste money on a more expensive location when a cheaper one works just as well. For example, Get Out was originally going to be shot in a huge mansion, but they toned it down to a large house. 2. Casts are generally kept to a minimum. Jason Blum said waiters don't speak in our movies, because if a guild actor utters so much as a word, that's an extra $800. 3. Minimal stunts or special effects. These last 3 points are actually part of a triangle, and he tells directors they can choose one. For example, if they want lots of cast, then they get one location and no stunts. 4. He doesn't let directors go over budget, which is nearly always under $5 million. 5. They pay some people more on the back end. Simply, cast and some crew get paid a lower amount for the shoot, but if the movie makes money, they get a cut of the profits. So there we go, high concept, low budget. But what about the part about making money? There are tons of examples of this formula working. Paranormal Activity, high concept, a couple film a ghost in their bedroom while they're asleep. Location was one house, 2 principal cast, special effects were things like doors slamming. Budget was $15,000, total return was $194.2 million. The Purge, crime is legal for 1 night a year. Location was a house, the cast was a family and a few others, some guns and light stunt work. Budget was $3 million, return $89.3 million. A non-Blumhouse movie, One Cut of the Dead. A Japanese film crew shoot a zombie movie but get attacked by real zombies. Location was an abandoned water filtration plant. Handful of cast, mostly blood splatter, cost $25,000 and made $30.5 million back. Open water, a couple are stranded in the middle of the ocean, cost was $120,000 and it made $55.5 million back. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, it's kind of self-explanatory. The cost was $100,000 and it made back $4.9 million. The Blair Witch Project, The Gallows, Wreck. Go and search for yourself, there's lots of valuable information out there about how producers and directors made these low-budget movies. Writing a high-concept, low-budget movie is not a guarantee for success by any means, but if we're gambling with our time and money by making a movie, the odds are much better. Leave a comment and tell me which movies I left off, share your own filmmaking journey with me, and thank you for watching.